The RCA Dome in Indianapolis, the 5-0 Indianapolis Colts, only undefeated team in the National Football League. On top in the AFC South. John talked about Steve Fairchild, and there he is, the offensive coordinator. When he was playing in San Diego at a community college in the 70s, Mike Martz was an assistant coach there when Fairchild was the quarterback. So he calls the plays tonight. He takes care of the offense. Joe Vitt takes care of the rest, along with the defensive coordinator, Larry Marmee. Vitt has been an assistant coach for 27 consecutive years. So here he is getting ready to kick off back 99 yards for a touchdown last week against Seattle. Is stopped at the 20, and here is the St. Louis starting offense. So you have two rookies starting on the interior here from the 20-yard line. Bulger will go straight back to pass and connects for a 9.5-yard gain to Brandon Manu Maliuna, who's been hurt, but he is back. Second and short. That linebacker Cato June has run 2 interceptions back for touchdowns this season. Now they give it to Steven Action Jackson, as he calls himself, but the only action there is from the Colt defensive line, led by the former Eagle Corey Simon.
Yeah, we were talking about the Colt defense getting better, getting tougher, getting faster, but the other thing that really helped him in the middle is Corey Simon. You know, he gives him big presence in there, and a guy that has been playing in big games. And he plays right here. You just see him control that guard, control that center, control that middle of the line. And if you control the middle of the line, it is very, very tough to run in this league.
Philadelphia let him go. Contract dispute. He was their franchise player. They took the tag off, and he opted to sign with the Colts. On third and a short two over the middle to Torrey Big Game Holt. And that's why he has a nickname like that. He's had a ton of them through the years, and they convert on third down and take it all the way down to the 34-yard line of Indianapolis.
You know, no one has better timing, I think, in this league than Mark Bulger and Torrey Holt, because you see him, he's going to run that deep in, and there's no one that runs it better than the Rams and Torrey Holt. And what Mark Bulger does is he goes and he's going to throw it to a spot. He throws it about 3 yards before Holt makes that break.
36-yard gain. The ball spotted at the 35-yard line. Jackson is the running back in this set. They give it to him. He cuts it back and then turns it upfield, and a 14-yard gain for the guy who has supplanted Marshall Faulk. Faulk, who used to play here in Indy, then traded to St. Louis, a Hall of Fame career. He's relegated now to spot duty. Jackson's the man in his second year. #1 pick out of Oregon State. Good for 14 yards here, John.
You know, and one of the things that teams think they can do against this Colt defense, and it is better, but it's a little on the small side. You know, we talked about Corey Simon. He's a big guy in the middle, but the other guys, the linebackers and the other ends, are smaller guys, and they think that they can run against them.
And now the pass to the outside, and Curtis cannot one-hand it. Isaac Bruce with the flag down. The flag is down to the 27. The penalty will be against the Rams. Isaac Bruce has a toe injury. He's missing his 3rd game in a row. Here's Jerry Austin with the call.
Illegal motion. Number 44 of the offense is going down as the ball is being snapped. 5 yards. Repeat. The penalty is going to be declined. Second down.
That was Madison Hedgecock with the penalty, and there is Isaac Bruce with turf toe. His numbers, a spectacular career. Yardage most among active wideouts, but they had hoped to have him back for tonight, but will not.
I wonder who he's talking to.
Good question.
I'll tell you who really misses him is Mark Bulger, because his timing with Isaac Bruce on one side and Torrey Holt on the other side was impeccable. And it's not the same with Kevin Curtis and Sean McDonald.
He's practicing to be an announcer in his afterlife. Second down and 10. Draw play. Here's Jackson inside the 10, and Steven Jackson showing you why he was a #1 draft choice and a worthy successor, the Rams hope, to Marshall Faulk. 21 yards and a touchdown for St. Louis.
How about Steve Fairchild? He's calling some pretty good plays there, isn't he?
So
he has
far.
a good mixture. He said that he wanted to run a little more, and this is why you want to run. Anytime you have a big running back like Steven Jackson, who has the moves like that, and then the speed, and then the power to finish off the runs, he is something special.
There's Madison Hedgecock with a block here after the penalty. Now Wilkins for the point after, and that's the first significant touchdown against the Colts this season. Remember, I talked at the top about 2 touchdowns against them, both in garbage time. But this one comes on the opening drive. And less than 3 minutes in, it's 7-0 Rams. Monument Circle right there downtown. Rams to kick it off. Jeff Wilkins sending it. It is dropped, and it is recovered by the Rams. Dominique Rhodes muffed the kickoff, and Mike Fury comes up with the ball. Fury now playing as a safety defensively, but still on special teams. A former wide receiver winds up recovering, and the Rams are in business again.
I'll tell you, Fury just flew down there. Dominic Rhodes is looking up at the ball. The ball hits his shoulder pads, and he didn't go after it as quickly as Mike Fury did. Watch him here. He just tries to come under control, and Fury just blasted in there and took that thing away.
And the Rams are at the 16-yard line. Up 7-0 already. And this is Jackson. And Steven with a spin move takes it to the 10-yard line. Adam Timmerman helping to lead the way. Earlier, a couple of nice blocks for him on that first drive by the rookie Claude Terrell. And as we say, 2 rookies on that offensive front. And there is Mike Fury.
You know, if you're going to be Clark Terrell and you're just starting for your first time at left guard, playing next to Orlando Pace on that left side isn't a bad deal either. You have McCullum, the center, on one side of you, Orlando Pace on the other side, and you say, where are we going to run? This isn't a bad area right in there.
And for the second time all season, the Colts have trailed, and the handoff will go to Steven Jackson. Marshall Faulk is now into the game. Marshall Faulk, who has not touched the ball in the last 2 weeks, comes in here to see his first action of the night, and it's a first down.
Well, Steve Fairchild was saying last night, and Joe Vitt also said that they want to get Marshall more into the game and get him into a routine and kind of roll him in and out of there along with Steven Jackson. But I think down here right now is when you want Steven Jackson in there.
And they have Jackson in there right now behind Hedgecock, and they're going to give him the ball, and he will work his way inside the 1-yard line, where he's stopped by the safety Mike Doss.
Yeah, Steven Jackson has that combination of big body, strong, powerful, but quick. You know, I mean, a lot of times you get those powerful guys and they don't have the quickness. This guy has that great combination, and we're talking about the rookie Claude Terrell there. Just watch him make the block there, get a good block, stay with his block so that Steven Jackson can run off it.
Second down and goal. Jackson again is the tailback behind Hedgecock. From inside the 1, they give it to him. He seeks a second touchdown, but the Colts say no. And that's Cato June, number 59, the outside linebacker, flexing his biceps and saying, not now, pal. Tony Dungy in his 4th year here after 6 seasons as the head coach at Tampa Bay.
I don't think you'll ever see a guy stay in it as long as Tony Dungy and stay as calm as Tony Dungy can say.
Unflappable, totally, always.
You brought that up this morning. As you know, who else has ever coached that's like him? And the closest thing I could think of is Tom Landry.
Tom Landry, maybe a little bit like Chuck Noll too, and Noll was the guy who Dungy most looked up to in the early stages of his career. Faulk is in the game. You've got a whistle before the snap, though. And you have a false start against the Rams, and maybe created by the crowd.
5 yards. Still 3rd down.
Orlando Pace.
You know, this is going to be a heck of a matchup here. Here's Orlando Pace. You're going to see him jump, and the reason he jumps is here's Dwight Freeney. And that is a tough thing. When you have a speed rusher and he's lined up way outside like that, you know that you have to get off on that ball. And sometimes you start a little early.
So now 3rd and goal, a completely different situation than inside the 1. Faulk comes in. And Marshall will get it, and Marshall will go nowhere. So the Colts did their job when they were in jeopardy of going down 14-0. At least they hold the Rams to a chip shot field goal attempt. And an interesting call there by Fairchild on 3rd and goal from the 7 to give it to Faulk, who hadn't touched the ball in 2 weeks.
Watch Dwight Freeney there. You know, he's going to get so much penetration. And, you know, John Turlink is a defensive line coach and the pass rush coach, and that's the way he teaches his defensive ends to play the run. Start towards the quarterback, rush the passer, and if a run happens, they'll run into you.
29-yard attempt for Jeff Wilkins is good. So the Rams got down inside the 1, but couldn't penetrate. Settle for 3. 8:17 left in the period. St. Louis has jumped on top 10-0. Downtown Indianapolis, the state capital, upper right-hand corner of your screen. And now inside the RCA Dome, the Rams on top 10-0. Indianapolis has yet to see the ball because Rhodes fumbled the kickoff. And here we go again with Rhodes getting a chance to atone from 2 yards in the end zone. Dominique, who is the backup to Edgerrin James, to the 25-yard line. So Manning will finally get his hands on the football. 6 minutes and 48 seconds into the game and trailing 10-0. So now the Colts have the ball for the first time with 8:12 to play in the opening quarter. They huddle up here, but as you know, they don't huddle very much after that. They go into what Larry Marmee, the St. Louis defensive coordinator, describes as the muddle huddle. Huddling near the line of scrimmage, and now Manning, as he's prone to do, comes out of the gun, goes under center with a lot of gesturing. And they'll begin with a play-action pass that gets tipped, and Dallas Clark can't make the catch. It was tipped on the way, and Adam Archuleta put the pop on at the end. The hard-hitting Rams strong safety Archuleta.
Yeah, and there's the no huddle of the Colts, and the Rams are going to do the same type of thing. In fact, the linebackers and defensive backs all have wristbands. They're going to just call the defense into the wristband.
2nd and 10. It's the inside give. And James, with a good spin move there, picks up 9 yards. Edgerrin James, one of the best in the league for a lot of years, came back from a major knee injury in 2001. And there are his numbers on the season and off to another great start.
You know, he's a different type runner, though. I mean, he's still as effective, but instead of running by guys with moves, he seems to be using more power and running over guys.
Different post-surgery, but still hugely effective. 3rd down and 1 from the 35-yard line. And they'll give it to him again, and he has to fight for it, and appears to have it. Leonard Little makes a stop. The U, as in the University of Miami, and you got a whistle here before the play.
Ball
Jerry
start,
Austin.
83 offense, 5 yards, still first down.
Brandon Stokely is the guy who gets whistled for it.
And he's the slot. He's the 3rd wide receiver. The Colts have 2 basic offenses. They go 2 tight ends, and then they can put Dallas Clark in the slot, or they go 3 wide receivers with Brandon Stokely in the slot. When they go 3 wide receivers like they are now, that brings nickel or 5 defensive backs against them.
And those 3 wideouts each scored 10 or more touchdowns last season. And Manning had 49. And here is Marvin Harrison making the catch. And let's take a look at the St. Louis D. Furry, now the starter, talked about him being a wide receiver 2 years ago, and now the starting free safety. Manning is chased, and Manning will just have to throw it away into the St. Louis bench. Good pressure that time put on him. And that is Tyoka Jackson, number 97, who forced the issue.
Yeah, he looked like he was trying to throw a screen pass to Edgerrin James to the right, and Edgerrin James, instead of going out, he started to go up the field. Watch Edgerrin James. He's right here. You see, he starts to block, and then he starts to go upfield when Peyton Manning was ready to throw the ball. That was 2 guys, quarterback and running back, not on the same page.
3rd down and 5. Manning in the shotgun. 4-man ram rush. And that's dropped by Stokely. So Stokely would have had the first down. Ivy with the coverage on the play. So a stuttering start tonight for the undefeated Indianapolis Colts, both offensively and defensively.
That's one of the things that the Colts thought they could do. In fact, last week Seattle did that a lot to the Rams, run those crossing patterns, because that corner on the other side starts to run, and then they can bring that crosser into that vacated area. They tried it that time, and Brandon Stokely just dropped it.
Hunter Smith to kick. Good to see Terry Fair back. We had him in the Monday night preseason game with Detroit, and he looked to be seriously injured that night, but he got back last week. Is back returning punts for the Rams and playing some defense as well. And he fair catches that one at the 23-yard line. 5:42 left in the opening quarter. 10-0 Rams. Next Monday will be in Atlanta, where the Falcons take on the New York Jets. Atlanta getting out of Dodge with a win yesterday in San Antonio, thanks to a penalty at the end of the game, giving them a second chance for a field goal. So they'll come in 4-2, and we'll see Vinny Testaverde and the Jets at Atlanta next Monday. So the Rams heavy on the rush to this point, and this will be their 9th rush in 12 plays as Jackson breaks tackles, and then it takes about 5 Colts to bring him down, and he loses the football. And Raheem Brock, number 79, comes away with it. And let's take a look at whether this will be challenged or not. Because did they stop him? Was he down? Is the question at the end of the play.
You know, one thing about this play is look at all the blue jerseys there. Whether it's a fumble or not yet, is you just watch that. That was one of the things Tony Dungy says. We don't have a lot of big guys, but if we have fast guys, you can get a whole bunch of guys there in the tackle. Now, that ball was ripped out just as he was going down. The question is going to be, did his knee touch before the ball was ripped out?
Now, Joe Vitt is the interim head coach. You know that Mike Martz is probably, well, I'm picturing him in bed in St. Louis.
The call on the field that it was a fumble.
And Mike must be saying, you've got to challenge, you got to challenge. And Joe Vitt will be challenging. They'll challenge it. Austin will take a look, and we'll be back in a minute. We've been looking at the replays. Joe Vitt and Tony Dungy awaiting Jerry Austin's call. It appears that the knee is down, that Jackson's knee, we're going to show you, still here. There's his left knee, still has control of the ball. Raheem Brock, 79, is the guy who's going to strip it and recover it. Here's another still. His knee is down. Jackson still has it. Here comes Brock in to take it away. And so Austin seeing either these pictures or enough, I think, to show him that his knee was down.
I don't know about that. I don't know that there's enough to reverse it. I mean, I think it's as close to being simultaneous as it can be. I mean, his knee is down, and then did the ball start out yet?
It's very close. The interesting thing here, John, is that, you know, in the old days, 2 or 3 years ago, officials were more prone to blow the whistle as the Ram offense comes back on the field. But the officials have been encouraged in these situations to let it go a little longer. By letting it go a little longer, what they're saying is it's a fumble. So now you have to see the evidence to overturn that call. Here comes Austin. The Rams think they won the challenge. We'll see.
After reviewing the play, the runner's shin and knee is on the ground before he loses possession of the ball. Therefore, the runner is down by contact. It'll be St. Louis's ball, 2nd and 8 at the 25. St. Louis is not charged with a timeout.
I think you got it right. And, of course, you know, Mike Martz is known for using his challenges early, using his timeouts early. But Vitt makes the call right. You had to make that call. It's a critical play.
Yeah, and it was so close. And as you were talking about the old days, in the old days, a fumble was a fumble. And if a guy got gang tackled, they ripped the ball out, the other team got it. Now, when the ball comes out, you're always looking for the excuse as to why it's not a fumble.
Right. So the Rams keep it. They still have their 2 challenges. Remember, with the rule change, you will get a 3rd challenge if you win your first 2. They've already won 1. They have at least 1 more. They win that one. If they have another one, they get a 3rd. 2nd down and 8 from the 25. Rams keep possession. To the consternation of his loud crowd, Bulger sets up and they dump it off underneath to Jackson. And Steven Jackson stumbles on the new field turf here, but still has the first down as he stopped by Nick Harper up at the 37-yard line after a 12-yard pickup.
Boy, is that Dwight Freeney fast. I mean, he got up the field so fast, but Mark Bulger knows when he gets a pressure from his left outside, all he has to do is, if he has a secure pocket in the middle, is step up a little. Watch Freeney as he comes off here. Boom, I mean, he gets out there blown by Orlando Pace, but he doesn't get to Mark Bulger because Mark Bulger's able to step up.
First down up at the 37-yard line. Bulger has started the game 3 out of 4. 4 out of 5 now as he goes to Holt underneath. Gain of only 2. He'll always draw a crowd. That time double covered with June in on the coverage. Cato June. And for Mark Bulger, one of the most accurate passers in the National Football League, a 4-5 start, 58 yards.
You know, and I think that he kind of likes when you run the ball a little more because you're talking about, you're throwing so many passes, you're on pace to do this. And he said, if I'm on that pace and I keep going at that pace, I'm not going to be around at the end of the season.
And he's on a record-setting pace to shatter a lot of marks as you have flags down. And you've got Jackson coming to the outside here. But you had Nick Harper making the tackle, and you had Robert Mathis jumping offside, number 98.
You see the way Nick Harper tackled. That's the way you're supposed to tackle.
Defensive end is offside. 5 yard. Repeat, second down.
Mark Bulger, take a look at this. I mean, the Rams are 2-3, so they've been playing from behind. But through his first 5 games, he leads the league in completions, passes, and passing yardage. He's on a mark that would break the completion marks and the passing yards mark of Dan Marino. We bring this up to him last night. He said, let me tell you something. If I break those records, we'll be 2-14.
And I won't be around.
Right.
He takes an awful lot of hits.
2nd and 4. Bulger looking right, then going left, and wide open and free is Kevin Curtis for a touchdown. Mark Bulger looking right, drew the defense in that direction, and then Curtis down the sideline for 57 yards. Curtis again seeing more action because of the absence of Bruce, but a guy who really came on at the end of last season and made his mark in the playoffs.
Well, that's Jason David, the corner here. He's the closest guy to him, and he's about 20 yards away. He's looking into the backfield. It's a little out and up, a double move, and when he goes for that move, he stops, and Kevin Curtis just runs right by him, and he beats him by 20 yards. Boy, he took a double dip. He took a look into the backfield on the double move.
Jason David, second year in the league, and he gets burned. Rams with 3 possessions and 17 points. Go figure this. The Indianapolis Colts are favored by 2 touchdowns in this game. So it's 17-0 St. Louis. And the Colts, the last 2 teams to start a season with 5 wins and hold opponents to 10 or fewer points in each game. The Colts this year. And then you'd go back to pre-Pearl Harbor, the New York Giants in the 1941 season. The last team prior to the Colts. And then all of a sudden, you have a game like tonight where you haven't even played 12 minutes, and you have 17 on the board for St. Louis.
Right, you brought in a different opponent.
A much different opponent.
An explosive opponent.
Here's Rhodes. They'll run it back from the 14 up to the 26-yard line, and Michelle Tafoy on maternity leave once again with a Sam Ryan. Hi, Sam.
Hello, Alan. Hey, a great start for Joe Vitt. You mentioned earlier this is his 27th season as a coach in the NFL. Someone who's been extremely instrumental in his career. Legendary coach Chuck Knox. I spoke to Chuck a couple of days ago. He told me that Joe was a strength coach in Seattle. He really had the ability to inspire players. He knew he was a great teacher then, guys.
And Joe Vitt has been around since he was an assistant under Ted Marcher-Broda with the Baltimore Colts. This is James picking up 9. It's interesting that he got a job. He went to Towson in Maryland, did Joe Vitt. Got a job working for Marcher-Broda. And there is Ted, who not only gave Vitt his start, but it was Marcher-Broda who gave Bill Belichick his first job. Ted now doing a commentary for the Colts on radio.
That was a pretty good group, and Ted Marcher-Broda was a very good coach.
2nd and 1 from the 34-yard line, and they give it to James, and James with some nifty power running gets out of the backfield, stopped by Pisatino Isamoah, but not until he moves the chains.
You know, one of the things that the Rams are going to do is they're always going to play a 2 deep shell. Corner, corner, safety, safety, and not go for the run. Come and slow play the run and not get fooled on the play action pass.
From the 38-yard line, here's the play action pass. Manning steps up underneath, and it's Wayne making the catch, and Corey Ivy is there to tackle him immediately. Reggie Wayne, a guy who sort of gets lost because you've got Harrison on one end, and Marvin has been spectacular now in his 10th year, but Reggie Wayne has really come on to provide almost a perfect bookend.
You know, and that's the way most teams are playing the Colts now, is keeping those two deep safeties and not letting anything get behind them. You know, and if you're going to beat them with a run, go ahead and beat them with a run and a short pass.
2nd and 6 against the nickel, and that opens up the middle for James as a flag comes in toward the end of the play. But as they spread it out, they give it to James, as they do with such effectiveness very often against the extra defensive back. For the moment, it's a 13-yard gain, and let's see about the call.
Well, on the play before, they tried to get the ball deep to Marvin Harrison, and that didn't go because they were playing so deep. So they said if they're going to play that soft and that much off, we'll just run the ball to Edgerrin James.
There's no defensive holding on the play because it was a run play and not a pass. The result of the play is a first down.
So Joe Vitt has watched his team now get back into their own territory for the first time. The ball is at the Ram 45-yard line.
There's a good player as the center right there, Jeff Saturday. On that one, you know, on that draw play, he was able to get up in the second level and get a linebacker. He can get his guy and then come off and get to that second level a lot.
Play fake again to the outside goes the pass to the tight end Dallas Clark, who came all the way back. Brandon Chiller and Tino Isamoa converge on the tackle, and the man mic'd up tonight is Peyton Manning. Listen in.
Shake that off, all right? Shake that off. Come back, all right? We're gonna hold him. We're gonna hold him. 0-0, man, right? Hey, 0-0. 0-0.
Well, Peyton trying to work a little psychological magic right there, because it's hardly 0-0. It's 17-0. I think he said that when it was 10-0, but you saw him trying to get Rhodes back into the game after his fumble on the kickoff.
I think he just wants to get something going offensively, you know, and not look like, oh, we're down 10 or we're down 17. It's an uphill battle. It's 0-0. Let's make it a flat field.
3rd down and 4 from the 39-yard line. Manning gets it away. Caught. Wayne, first down. And then knocked down at the 33-yard line. So Wayne comes free underneath and makes the catch, and that'll be the final play of the period. And Damian Lewis got in there at the end and really put a hit on Peyton Manning. So that's the end of the quarter, and what a quarter for the big underdog St. Louis Rams. They lead after 1. It's St. Louis 17, Indianapolis nothing. And Monday Night Football resumes after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back in Indianapolis, Al Michaels, John Madden, and Sam Ryan as we start the second quarter. Monday Night Football. Shocking first quarter as the Rams jump on the Colts, who'd allowed 29 points in 5 games. 17-0 in this town, the state capital right there. Almost out of its mind about their Colts, who've come so close for the last couple of years, have finally, at least through the first 5 games of the season, shown the defense to go with an offense. But tonight, a different story, at least at the outset. Here we go on 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Try to exploit the middle with Edgerrin James, who carries for the 7th time. And he's tackled by Tyoka Jackson.
You know, we talked about the Colts and how they don't huddle. Well, watch the Rams. They're not huddling either. They're just kind of standing around. You see they kind of stand right in their positions. Again, the linebackers and the defensive backs all have wristbands. So they just call the defense in and say, okay, defense number 3. And then they all look at number 3, and that's the defense they play.
2nd down and 9 from the 30-yard line. Manning. And has that one knocked down. He went for Wayne, and the pass is knocked down by Corey Ivy, who's had an active first part of the game tonight.
You know, that's what they saw Seattle do to the Rams, is run those crossing patterns, and Wayne just ran one earlier, and then that was the same thing here, that they think that if they can get the corner on the other side to run off way back here on the right, that they can run these crossing patterns. That time they just ran with the crosser. Against Seattle, no one ran with the crosser.
Nobody ran with the crosser, and Seattle beat them despite not having their two top wide receivers. Joe Jurevicius came out of the bullpen to kill him last week in St. Louis. 3rd down and 9. Manning is going deep, and it's off the fingertips of Marvin Harrison. A little too deep. Good coverage as Travis Fisher was hanging with him, and Adam Archuleta came over to help.
And that guy's thinking right there, that would have been the record.
Yep.
These guys have 85. They get one more touchdown. It's 86. Here it is. The ball's in the air. This is a record. Nope. Tell you, Travis Fisher, Marvin Harrison did have him beat. He had a step on him, and the ball was right there. And Peyton Manning threw it where he had to throw it.
Mike Vanderjagt, one of the very best. This is a 48-yard attempt, and Vanderjagt's kick is no good. He is the most accurate kicker in the history of the NFL. He's made nearly 88% of his attempts. That's 7 out of 8, but not here. And the Rams will have it in pretty good field position early in the second and up by 17. Central Indiana is really ready for some football. Central Indiana ready for some football, and so were the St. Louis Rams tonight in the first quarter. That Colt D, which had allowed only 29 points against Baltimore, Jacksonville, Cleveland, Tennessee, and San Francisco, yielding 17. And after the Vanderjagt miss, the Rams start from the 38-yard line, and the swing pass goes out to Jackson. He steps out of one tackle and is out of bounds after a gain of about 6. They'll mark it at the 44-yard line.
Yeah, we talk about one of the outstanding matches. This guy here is one of the best defensive linemen in football, and this guy here is one of the best offensive linemen, and it's gonna be a fight all night. Lando Pace against Dwight Freeney.
Freeney made the cover of Sports Illustrated this week, which is amazing. And in as much as the Colts through the years, we used to talk about the paucity of defensive guys who would go to the Pro Bowl. Larry Triplett came across the line. In fact, they went through a very long period of time where only Dwayne Bickett had gone to Honolulu from the defensive side, and now Freeney's going to probably become a regular.
75 defense, 5 yards. Result of the penalty will be a first down.
That's when you're guessing the snap count. You know, John Turlick has a thing that most of the time they'll snap it on one. If they don't snap it on one, they're sure going to snap it on two, so just go. And sometimes, you know, because he's always trying to get his advantage, you know, to get that defensive line off in the ball, to rush the passer. Like I said earlier, if you run, then just get the run on the way to the passer.
John Turlick, the defensive line coach, talking about Dwayne Bickett. He was the only Colt defender to go to the Pro Bowl in a 24-year period. And now Steven Jackson will take the ball to the 45-yard line, picks up about 6 yards there. Jackson's already carried the ball 8 times now for 52 yards.
I wonder what Mike Martz is thinking about that. I mean, this is pretty good mixture here. You know, that Mike Martz is the type of guy that he would run and run, and then when he got away from the run and started to pass, he'd never go back to the run.
I'm told that Martz was told by his doctors to have nothing to do with the football team for a couple of weeks.
Right.
But we know, now we're not telling him anything out of school here. Vitt was over at his house on Friday or Saturday. So was Fairchild. Steve Fairchild, the offensive coordinator. 2nd down and 4. And that's intercepted at the 30-yard line by Cato June. And Cato June, who's run 2 back for touchdowns this season, is stopped at the 35-yard line. So Cato June has given Indianapolis a huge lift.
Yeah, we were talking about that timing throw, you know, and he's going to time it, and he's going to throw it into that window. Uh-oh, Mark Bulger's hurt. But he threw it into the window to Torrey Holt, and Cato June is in it. Cato June plays like Derek Brooks. You know, when you play that cover 2, and then you're going to get back, and you squeeze that middle. You drive the middle linebacker deep, then the weak side linebacker comes deep, and he just squeezes that middle, and he can react to anything going up the seam. That's exactly what Cato June does. You see, and the ball is thrown in there to Torrey Holt. The timing wasn't perfect. Cato June ends up with it.
That's his 4th interception of the season, and we'll keep an eye on Bulger, who was reaching for his collarbone as he went out. You have a flag down here on the throw to James. Ooh, and Jamie Martin is the backup. Martin has been around a long time, but has not played all that much over the years. He is the backup quarterback.
Holding, number 52 of the defense. 5 yards, repeat first down.
Dexter Coakley, the ex-Cowboy.
Here's the hit on Mark Bulger, and you can see it wasn't after he threw. It was after the interception when he becomes a defender. And again, he just put his right shoulder down there to take on David Thornton. But once you intercept, then he becomes a blocker, and Mark Bulger becomes a tackler.
Right, he is fair game at that point. Quarterback rules don't exist. First down from the 29-yard line. Stretch play. James. And he's taken down at the 23-yard line. They're going to send Bulger to the locker room. Tino Isamoah makes the tackle.
Yeah, that was the thing we were talking about. Mark Bulger, he's a tough guy. I mean, he hangs in there, takes a lot of hits, and again, that wasn't a hit where he was in the pocket. That was a hit that he took right there after an interception. Usually quarterbacks don't go over there, to make the tackle. And if they do, if they're going to offer a shoulder, it's usually their left shoulder.
Second down and 4. James will turn it back up to the 16-yard line. And John, is there a tendency for the defender who then becomes a blocker in that situation to seek out a quarterback if he can?
That used to be the old rule that when a quarterback throws an interception, the closest guys just go get the quarterback. But the NFL does protect the quarterback now if he doesn't go after the tackle. Now, if he goes to put himself in position to make a tackle, then he's eligible to be blocked.
From the 17-yard line, Manning throws. It's Wayne making the catch, and he takes the ball inside the 10. So the Colts trying to capitalize on that Cato June interception. DeJuan Gross playing with an injured hamstring makes the tackle. Bulger walking back to the Ram locker room.
Here's Reggie Wayne. He's just the outside receiver. And again, once he gets inside, Peyton Manning is just waiting for him to make that little move. And once he gets inside, he just drills him with it.
Second down 2 from the 9-yard line.
I wonder if they go to Marvin Harrison here.
Instead, they're going to keep it on the ground, give it to James, and he's going to lose the ball. And it was Corey Ivy, and Corey Ivy looked down. He didn't see it at first, but he's able to gather himself, and it's kind of like a look what I found situation.
They've been running that stretch play, and Edgerrin James has been very, very successful with it. I say Corey Ivy's in there. He's the third corner. He goes in against 3 wide receivers.
Still no signal from the officials, though all of the Rams. And look at this. Austin says, Indy has the ball. So wishful thinking on the part of the Rams. And had Ivy turned around a tenth of a second earlier, he would have had it.
I did see one of the officials say the other way. I saw him point that way. I don't know about that one. I mean, that ball came out. Now he could put his hands down, and that doesn't count as being down. When that left hand goes down, that doesn't count.
And how did Ivy not come away with it? You've got Ivy with 2 arms, and you have the right arm of James.
Indianapolis had the ball on the bottom of the pile. They had the ball after the play was unscrambled.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Man. Well, I don't know how you challenge that either, because there's no way, there's no replay unless you're a gopher that's going to have an angle to show you who has the ball.
Well, right after that, the one official did say it was a Rams ball.
And the Rams are going to take a timeout. Timeout with Indianapolis knocking on the door. As we come back, one thing to note. You cannot challenge the recovery of a ball except in the end zone. So it's not challengeable. The official, the umpire, came in, Roy Ellison, and did in fact signal Rams ball. Here's Peyton Manning. We have him mic'd up, and here's what Peyton's saying during the play.
ball, move ball, move ball, move ball. He's got it.
And Manning talking to Austin, and in fact it was ruled dual possession. So as in baseball, the tie goes to the runner. Here the tie goes to the offense, and Manning throws, and that pass is caught at the half-yard line by Brandon Stokely. He is not into the end zone. It'll be second down. So Peyton Manning and the Colts get a huge break on a dual possession situation. The offense retains the football.
And the reason that Peyton Manning was saying no is because the umpire did signal there was a Rams ball going the other way. This is a running situation now. The Colts don't have a fullback, so they put their second tight end, Ryan Fletcher, in as the fullback.
James is the running back. James with the ball. And James into the end zone. After he bounces off a tackler, in he goes. And so the Rams were up 17-0. Bulger throws the pick. Bulger gets hurt. The Rams can't come up with the fumble on a dual possession situation. Bulger's back in the locker room, and the Colts are back in the game.
Yeah, we were talking about Edgerrin James and maybe not as many moves as he used to make, but more power. This is power right here.
Vanderjagt for the point after. And so the Colts, with 9:44 to go in the half, shave it to 10. St. Louis 17. Indianapolis 7. Yard line. Johnson brings it back up to the 22. The story about Bulger. Sam, what do you know?
Well, Al, some anxious times for the Rams right now. They're calling it a bruised right shoulder. He is in the locker room, as you mentioned, for x-rays. The x-rays have not come back yet. We will update it as soon as we get the results, Al.
And that means that Jamie Martin, who has been around a long time but has played very little, and here's the injury now to Bulger on the interception by Cato June. He got involved in the action, and Jamie Martin, who first was on a pro roster in '93 with the LA Rams, but has played in only 26 games total since then and started 3. From the 23-yard line, Martin will go right to work through the air and completes it. So he comes off the bench. Torrey Holt makes the catch, and for Jamie Martin, he's played in only 1 game since the start of the 2003 season.
You know, but he's a real bright guy. He's been around. He knows this offense. He's been with Mike Martz. He's been with Steve Fairchild. You know, he's been with Mark Bulger. He's practiced. He knows what they do. And the backup quarterback has to be that type of guy. A guy that understands the game plan and then can come in and run it if need be, but not have a lot of reps in practice.
Martin's 35. He played his college ball at Weber State in Utah. He'll give it to Steven Jackson. Tough running and close to a first down. Tackled finally by Mike Doss.
I'll tell you, I think those key words were tough running, and that's what I've always liked about Steven Jackson is that he finishes off runs. I mean, some guys will make runs and they'll just run until the first tackler comes upon him. This guy will take that first tackler that comes upon him and knock him back where he came from.
He's already gained 61 yards tonight, averaging over 6 yards a carry. It's second down in inches from just shy of the 50-yard line. And Jackson gets it on a draw and just turns it up and picks up a first down, taking the ball to the Colt 45-yard line. Monte Rager and Bob Sanders make the stop.
Don't you feel in this first half that the Rams are maybe a little bit more than the Colts expected? I think that
Yes.
their offense is playing a little quicker, the pace, and you know, Steven Jackson running with power. It doesn't look like the Colt defense expected this from the Rams.
Without their head coach, you thought, well, maybe they'll come in a little tentative. The coaching staff, new situation. Marshall Faulk's even been in the game and had his first touch in a couple of weeks. The ball at the 45-yard line. Martin with the fake. They throw it out to the left side, and is lucky that one wasn't picked off. That's Larry Triplett who got in the lane right there.
Yeah, that's what those defensive tackles do now. Once they see those backs try and sneak out of the backfield, they start to think that it's a screen. And watch Triplett, 75. He's right here, and he sees Steven Jackson there. So instead of continuing in the pass rush, he runs right down the line for the back. And And defensive tackles in this league are getting better and better at making that move.
Second down and 10. 3 wideouts for the Rams. Martin, and he'll give the ball at the last moment to Steven Jackson, but that didn't fool anybody. In particular, Robert Mathis, number 98, who's a pass rush specialist, plays only a small, not a small percentage, but plays part of the time, not full time, and has 6 sacks this year.
Yeah, but that's a tough thing when you get Mathis on one side, Dwight Freeney on the other side, and they come on a stunt. Well, you get them both together, and they cross and come on a stunt like this. This could make it very, very tough. Which way do you slide your protection?
Now Marshall Faulk comes in the game. Third down and 13. And the pass into traffic caught by Faulk, and Marshall takes it to the 45-yard line, back to the original line of scrimmage where they started on first down. So 4th down and 10, under 7 minutes to play now in the half, and Indianapolis will get the ball back.
You know, we were just talking about defensive linemen playing running backs in the passing game. That time it was Dwight Freeney that played the pass.
Now 41-year-old Brian Barker, who was in camp with the Rams, to punt. Barker was out of football after camp. Reggie Hodges, a draft choice of the Rams, he had the job, but last week they let him go. They brought Barker back. Barker was sitting at home in Jacksonville, Florida, and now here he is at the age of 41, sending it down to Troy Walters at the 14-yard line, and he makes the fair catch right there. With 6:21 to play in the opening half, the Rams and Steven Jackson on top, 17-7. Rams got off to a hot start tonight with 17 unanswered points in the first quarter. They've already picked up over 206 yards, but now with their backup quarterback in the game, it's a different story. Colts will have it. Colts are down by 10. Manning and company go to work from their own 14-yard line. Heavy workload for James thus far tonight, and that continues. And James picks up 9 yards. Isamoah knocks him out of bounds.
I'm sorry, I was just thinking that they've been running the heck out of that stretch play, and what it is the ball is snapped. Now he's going to run right to the numbers. He's going to run right to the angle to the numbers there and not make the decision whether he's going to bounce outside or cut back until he gets to the numbers. And they'll run that wide side like to this side or short side to the other side.
Edgerins carried it 12 times for 64 yards, and on 2nd and 1, the pass is caught by Harrison. Marvin up to the 28-yard line. Second grab for number 88 tonight. Archuleta and Tino Isamoah in on the stop.
You know, one of the things that everyone on defense against the Colts this year is really taken away. We're talking about that play action pass and the deep passes to Marvin Harrison. And sometimes I feel that Peyton Manning is not looking at Marvin Harrison as much as he used to. And there's still some things there.
1st and 10 at the 28-yard line. From the draw to the outside goes James. Nice little stiff arm there to pick up another yard or 2. Brandon Chiller in on the stop. Play action last year with tremendous effectiveness. Look at that. About a third of the time, 35% of the time, they used play action. And Manning's rating, phenomenal. With 24 touchdowns, 2 picks. This year, they've used it only 20% of the time with much less effectiveness. That's through the first 5 games of the season. 2nd down and 3 from the 35-yard line. James. And John, is part of that the fact that teams don't bite as much on the play action fakes now?
Yeah, it's just that cover 2 shell. I mean, you look at the way the Rams are playing. They're playing their 2 safeties about 20 yards deep. And no matter what they do, they're not going to bite. They're not going to be affected by it. So if you go play action pass, maybe you can get a crosser or a check down, a short type pass, but you're not going to get anything deep.
Just saw Mark Bolger come back on the field, but he has that right shoulder, even though the uniform is on, encased in ice as he comes back. 3rd down and 1 at the 37-yard line. They've already taken x-rays in the locker room. Manning's going to throw, and it's going to be caught by Clark, reaching up. Nice grab. He beats DeJuan Gross at 5'10", Dallas Clark at 6'3", third year out of Iowa.
And that was that crossing pattern we were talking about. And again, you know, the Colts saw that on film, and that was something I watched in practice, and they ran every type of crossing there could be. You know, we saw Nate Wayne do it, and here we see the tight end Dallas Clark do it, start on the right and run to the left, and it all starts with play action. Again, to just hold those linebackers a half a beat so that you can get that tight end across.
First down from the 44-yard line. Fake draw. Manning hit as he throws, and that's a great catch by Clark. And then Clark appeared to lose the ball, but retains it at the 36-yard line. So Dallas Clark makes the catch as Leonard Little got in there and hit Manning as he unloaded. That's a 20-yard gain.
You know, one of the things that they do with play action too is, and that last pass was a play action, is they try and get that middle held so that Dallas Clark can get in it, but they will pull their guard. Jake Scott pulled on that last one, so you see the guard pull and the run of the fake of the run. That does hold the linebacker.
And Clark did have it all the way. First and 10 from the 36-yard line. Give it to James to the outside. Great blocking. Archuleta whiffs on the tackle, and he gets inside the 20-yard line. Tarek Glenn with a great block to spring him. Sam, what's the update on Bulger?
Well, you saw him come out. The x-rays were negative, which is good news, but it is being called a sprained right shoulder. His return is doubtful, though, Al.
Well, right now, he's not going to return in the first half because he doesn't have his shoulder pads on. He might have his jersey on, but no shoulder pads. He still has it iced. And Jamie Martin will be the man at least through the half.
And he's probably coming out to be the communicator because Jamie Martin was the communicator. So now Mark Bulger can be the communicator to him.
From the 18-yard line now, Manning throws. That's caught by Wayne. And Wayne takes it to the 3-yard line. Gross makes the tackle. And right now the Colts on a long drive that started at their own 14-yard line. And we come to the 2-minute warning. What the crowd really wants to see is not only a touchdown, but Manning to Harrison. 2 minutes to the half, 17-7 Rams. Coming into the game tonight, the Colts had the lead almost the entire time. But look at this. Tonight they've trailed for 25-04. They were tied, of course, for the first 2:56 of the game. In the first 5 games, there is the difference. They trailed for only 13 and a half minutes. They were down 17-0, but now it's 17-7, and they have a first and goal at the 3-yard line.
They're still in 3 wide receivers down here. They've been in that most of the game because the Rams have to play in the nickel or 5 defensive backs.
Harrison split wide right. Manning throwing to the left. Touchdown, Reggie Wayne. Eighth touchdown pass of the season for Peyton Manning, who had 49, an NFL record last year.
You talk about the defense of the Colts, but another big addition in the last couple of years has been Reggie Wayne and Peyton Manning's confidence in him.
Vanderjagt for the point after. So after that start by the Rams in a 17-point lead, Bulger is on the shelf. The Colts only trail by 3, and we have 1:57 remaining in the opening half in Indianapolis.
You know, the closer a wide receiver gets to the goal line, the more physical he has to be. Out in the middle of the field, he doesn't have to be that physical, but that's exactly what Reggie Wayne was right there. I mean, you're going to make that quick hit and get that quick separation. But you can't be running around, guys, get down there in the goal line.
Manning and Harrison with those 85 connections on touchdowns. That's the 24th connection between that man Wayne and Manning in Reggie's career. Peyton Manning of that royal family, Daddy Archie, and of course his brother Eli with the Giants.
And look where Peyton Manning is hanging out, right next to Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach, who's right in front of the offensive lineman.
Dave Rayner, the rookie kickoff specialist, will send it down to Chris Johnson, who ran the opening kickoff back for a touchdown last week. And Chris Johnson gets bounced around and takes it to the 27-yard line. So now Jamie Martin with Marshall Faulk in the backfield with him. Operates out of the shotgun. Backing up, throws, Faulk, screen. And Faulk, who started his career with the Indianapolis Colts and then went to the Rams in that huge trade, which facilitated the drafting of Edgerrin James, comes close to picking up first down and does indeed have it.
And the Rams are in 4 wide receivers. They're spreading out this defense. So they have 4 wide receivers and then Marshall Faulk in the backfield, which really gives them a 5th.
First and 10, pass to the sideline, and that's Dane Looker making the catch with Isaac Bruce out. Looker gets some more playing time tonight, and all of a sudden the Rams anything but conservative with Bulger on the shelf and the seldom used Martin in the game. Go to the air, have it at the 44.
You know, that's the thing that I was saying earlier about Jamie Martin. He, doesn't play a lot, hasn't played a lot, but he's a very bright guy, and he understands the game plan. He understands defense, and because of that, he can stay calm.
Rams have 2 timeouts. To the outside he goes here, and that's Torrey Holt. And Holt is forced out of bounds after a gain of 4. The ball at the 40-yard line with 1:14 left.
You know, one of the big things Orlando Pace has to handle in Dwight Freeney is the spin move. And watch him here. You have to get your hands out in front of him and then push him away so that when he spins right back into you, not beyond you.
Orlando Pace was the #1 pick overall in the draft back in '97. Second down and 6 from the 40-yard line. Martin protected well, throws. That'll be a first down, 33-yard line. That's caught by Dane Looker, and they're very close to Jeff Wilkins' field goal range.
And Orlando Pace got that spin again, and this is when you need it. I mean, it's the last 2 minutes of the half, and you need your pass protection. They know you're going to pass. Dwight Freeney's bringing his best moves. He tries the spinner on Orlando Pace. Orlando Pace can handle that spin, and if he handles that spin, then Jamie Martin can do things like this.
You can make that move on ice skates. You might win a bronze medal in Torino next February.
Yeah, what would you call that?
You know what? I did a bunch of skating through the years, but I don't know the difference. I got to be honest. I don't know what a salchow is. I don't know what any of that stuff is.
I'd just call it a salchow then.
Call it a salchow. We'll call Peggy Fleming. Peggy will know. It was all the same to me.
But I'll tell you, Orlando Pace is doing a good job. I mean, that was a big thing. I mean, Dwight Freeney is maybe the best pass rushing defensive lineman in football, and his best move is that spin move, and Orlando Pace knew that he had to handle that, and the way he had to handle it was get his hands out in front of him, and he's done that. They've never played against each other for real.
Rams took their second time out. They have 1 left. The ball at the 33-yard line. Colts jump. They do indeed jump. But they jump because the Rams jump first.
Start, 81 offense, 5 yards, still 3
Holt.
Jamie Martin's pretty good on this drive. He's 4 for 4, and like I said, they know that they're going to pass. They're getting the pass rush, and I think what he tried to do is change the count there. Watch this. He's trying to give the hard count. You see, he gives a hard count, and instead of getting them, it got him.
On the road in a building that's as loud as any. Screen, Faulk. Marshall has no help, and he's taken out of bounds at the 38-yard line by Cato June.
We're watching Dwight Freeney and Orlando Pace here, Al, and you just have to say that Dwight Freeney's going to have to stop that spin because Orlando Pace has it down. You see, when you come off your spin, like I said, you want to be beyond the guy, and Orlando Pace is just keeping him right in front of him.
Second down and 15 now. 3-point game. Colts with 14 unanswered points. Rams trying to at least get into Wilkins' field goal range. And now you've got, on the left side, you've got Mathis coming across. But it's called an Alex Barron. Barron is one of the 2 rookies on the offensive front out of Florida State. He was their first-round draft choice.
And he's a pretty good player. I mean, that's what the Rams have kind of been without a right tackle for a long time. And they want to pass, they want to hold the ball, they want to throw it deep, and they needed a guy at right tackle, and this guy's going to be the answer. He's a good player.
Those two penalties have taken them out of Wilkins' field goal range. They try to get back in on second down and 20. Four-man defensive front, four-man rush for Indianapolis. And Martin's going to go underneath after faking long. And Holt will make the catch. And Torrey's out of bounds at about the 36-yard line. Nick Harper with the coverage and 51 ticks remaining.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with this Ram offensive line because this Colt defensive line has the speed and they can get after you. You know, and they have the stunts in the middle. They have Freeney coming from the edge. They have Mathis coming from an edge. But this offensive line is really giving Jamie Martin time. In fact, that time he double pumped it.
Third down and 12, still a little out of field goal range here. Martin's going to try to get him into that range. Holt makes the catch. The ball is at the 31-yard line. Now you're looking at about a 49-yard attempt. And the Rams would be well advised here if they're going to go for the field goal to let the clock run down, leave no time on the other side. And for Indianapolis, what they should do is take a timeout, and they do at this point. Because they want to get the ball back with as much time remaining if indeed Wilkins does attempt this field goal.
And I think the Rams have to attempt the field goal here. And as you say, that was a good call by the Colts to take a timeout because the Rams wanted to just run all the time off before they attempted the field goal.
And the Colts will have 2 timeouts remaining. Steven Jackson off to a hot start tonight. He got into the end zone early. Mark Bolger then, after the interception with a sprained shoulder, return is doubtful. The x-rays were negative. Edgerrin James has picked up 91 yards rushing and has gone in for a touchdown. And then Peyton Manning was able to lead them down the field. Long march culminated with the Reggie Wayne touchdown grab. So now you've got Wilkins attempting about a 49, maybe 49-yard field goal. They're spotted at the 39, which means if it's no good, the Colts will have the ball at their own 39 with 2 timeouts and about 30 seconds remaining. And Wilkins right down the middle. Perfect.
Hey, the place went quiet here, didn't it? Jamie Martin did his job. I mean, they had a penalty and then he had to come back and get it again. And that's what you need in your backup quarterback. I mean, you know, he has to come in and you have to continue to run your offense. And
that's a big field goal in the sense that, of course, it gives you 3 more points. It makes it a 6-point lead. But again, if you don't make it, the Colts have the ball near midfield. You've got Manning. You've got timeouts. They could be in field goal range. They could tie the game. Now, not only do you make the field goal, you kick off, and if your coverage unit does any sort of job, you make it very difficult for Indy.
And the other thing that they did is they gave Jamie Martin a lot of confidence there because he was 7 for 7 on that drive. So he's going to go in feeling pretty good about himself. The offensive line, I think, did a good job for him, giving him protection. So they have to figure, Orlando Pace has to figure, I got Dwight Freeney figured out. So I think that it's 3 points, but maybe it's a little more than 3 points.
Agreed. Now, the one thing about the Rams, they have had terrible special teams over the last couple of years. They ranked last in almost every category last year. Appear to be a little bit better this year, especially on kickoff returns, thanks to that return of a kickoff for a touchdown last week. But their coverage unit, very suspect. They need to cover well here. Rhodes from the 8-yard line. Rhodes up past the 30. And Rhodes will bring it back to the 37-yard line. 24 seconds. Manning is mic'd up.
Quickly, Mike. You got a flare. You got a flare. Good hot. Whack, 38. Whack, 38. Hot, hot, hot. Gotta fire them up a little bit, boys. They're coming.
That was Damian Lewis who got there at that point. Again, Mike Vanderjagt is the field goal kicker for Indianapolis. His range right up around 50, 52 yards. We're inside. Conditions are perfect. Manning tries to get them into field goal range. On first down, and he's going to get taken down for the sack, and that is Anthony Hargrove. Second year out of Georgia Tech. A lot of attention paid to the other end, Little, and that frees it up for Hargrove. Big sack here.
And Anthony Hargrove just came on a bull rush against Tariq Glenn. Tariq Glenn kind of stands up, and you're going to see Anthony Hargrove just comes, and he just takes him right back here. Here's Hargrove here. And you're going to see him, you know, You know, again, he expects a speed rush, but see, he just gets his head in there and his shoulders and bull rushes him right into Peyton Manning. Boom. That's a bull rush.
And for Manning, that's a very unusual position. That's only the second time in 5.5 games that Manning has been sacked this season. 2.
And Tariq Glenn didn't expect that. I mean, he's a, you know, and that'll happen to a tackle. You have a smaller, you know, speed rusher like Hargrove, and you expect a speed rush, and then so you're kind of getting ready for a speed rush, and he gives you a bull rush, and you're up too high.
Manning figures to go downfield here on 2nd and 14 because they have one timeout. Instead, they set up a screen, and Rhodes drops it. So it'll be 3rd down, and barely enough time unless he can get it deep enough downfield and stop the clock to set up a Vanderjagt field goal.
You know, we're talking about all night how well the defensive line has been playing those screen passes, and that time it was number 97, Tyoka Jackson, was right there with Dominic Rhodes. You know, I don't think there's been a blitz this first half. I don't think either team has blitzed once.
That's a great point. I can't remember calling one. 3rd down and 14. And they'll keep it on the ground, and that's the way the half's going to end. And the Rams, who could have come in and worried about Mike March, and now the Rams are going to try to take a timeout? Well, too late. Well, Dungy's team gets back into the game, but the Rams still have the lead. It's 20-14 St. Louis at the half. Tim McGraw coming up at the half. Teddy Bruschi, an update on his return. 60 seconds with Jimmy Kimmel. And now you still have the officials out in the middle of the field.
St. Louis, there are 2 seconds on the clock. That's our 3rd and final one.
So the Rams take a timeout, and you know, why not, even though the chances of them getting the ball are almost infinitesimal. It does at least make the Colts have to snap the ball here.
And that should be all that the Colts do. They don't have to do anything else. They don't have to get in punt formation. All they have to do is snap the ball, like you say, and they're going to, you know, keep their offense in there, keep Peyton Manning in there, and he'll just take a knee.
So nice job by Joe Vitt and by Steve Fairchild and Larry Marmee. Again, the Rams with Mike Martz on indefinite leave because of the bacterial infection of the heart valve, and the guys come in here, build up a big lead, lose their quarterback, will go into the locker room up by 6 pending the kneel down here. Please. Boston telling the clock operator to put 2 seconds on the clock. And the Rams, you know, you come in this situation, I started to say, John, you think about, you know, you come in, I don't know if you feel sorry for yourself, but the potential exists to get blown out early.
Yeah, and that's a possibility. And then, or maybe the opposite is that is the Colts are a little overconfident, and maybe we saw some of that.
I think you're right. Overconfident no longer. They're down by 6. Coming up next will be the Lexus halftime show. When we come back after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC stations. And a full house at the RCA Dome as the Indianapolis Colts meet the St. Louis Rams on Monday Night Football. Here's Jackson inside the 10 and a touchdown for St. Louis. Touchdown.
This is power right here.
Touchdown, Reggie Wayne. Plenty of action under the big top of the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Sam Ryan with you as we start the second half. It's a 6-point game. The Rams, 2 touchdown underdogs, got off to a 17-0 lead, now lead by 6, but they're minus Mark Bulger with that shoulder sprain. X-rays were negative, but doesn't figure to play in the second half, and it's going to be Jamie Martin, Dominic Rhodes to run it back. So Bulger now the communicator with Martin the quarterback. Kickoff from Wilkins. Rhodes, 3-yard line. A up to the 27-yard line. That's where they'll take over. Here's Sam.
Yeah, now I confirmed it with Joe Vitt, his first ever halftime interview. He told me Mark Bolger definitely done for the game. He'll be further evaluated afterwards. I asked him if the offensive game plan changes with Jamie Martin in there. He said, no, it's the guy's responsibility to know the offense. As for Tony Dungy, he said defensively, we've got to make some bigger plays. We've got to play smarter, create some turnovers. They're explosive. They're making big plays. Gentlemen.
And they did early on to build that big lead, and now we'll see what they do in the second half as Mr. Manning goes to work now from the 26-yard line. Start on the ground with the workhorse, Edgerrin James. 9-yard gain, tackled by Fisher, and that's 100 yards tonight. 16 carries for James. First half numbers right there. Rushing yardage, each team, of course, led by Jackson on the left and James on the right. The Rams with twice as many passing yards. Pretty good advantage in total yardage and a 6-point lead on the scoreboard. He picked up a first down. It was a 10-yard pickup to James. Now the pass is caught, and that'll be a first down. Reggie Wayne has scored a touchdown in the second quarter, takes it out to midfield.
Reggie Wayne was the outside receiver on the slot side, and that's what the Colts have been doing. They've been using 3 wide receivers the whole game, so that puts the Rams in nickel. You see Reggie Wayne is the outside guy. The inside guy, Stokely, runs a deeper pattern, and Reggie Wayne just comes underneath him.
Ball at the 50. James. Loose. 21-yard gain to the 29-yard line where he's tackled by Mike Furry.
Yeah, we said that they hadn't blitzed on that time. They brought Corey Ivy off the slot. You're going to see him here. He is going to come on a blitz, but they just gash it because they start to the left. You see, they start to the left, then they come back to the right where Corey Ivy would have been, and they gain another 10 yards.
At the 29-yard line, first down. They've run 3 plays for 45 yards in a minute and a half. Manning swings it to the outside. Low throw, but that is caught. It was caught by Dominique Rhodes, and Rhodes is all the way down to the 22 before he's taken out.
And the Rams defense is playing that same way. They're playing those safeties soft, and they're not going to let them get anything deep. Now they've had to stay in nickel because, again, the Colts have stayed in 3 wide receivers most of this game. Here you see Stokely here. He's in the slot. He's the 3rd wide receiver there. But look how deep they keep those 2 safeties.
Second down and 2.
So they want to jam them up in the line and then have safeties over the top.
Ooh, and Rhodes runs right into Brandon Green, number 93, 3rd-year backup defensive end out of Rice.
You would think when someone comes free like that, the defensive end, that there was probably a trap on and the guard or someone was supposed to get him, but that wasn't it. It looked like Tariq Glenn was just trying to draw block him and draw him to an outside pass rush, and Green didn't go for it.
Now you've got a 3rd down and 6 at the 25-yard line. James back in the backfield. He goes out into the pattern. Manning's going to step up. Payton's going to run for it, and he slides to a stop with a first down at the 15-yard line. Middle opened up, and Payton took advantage of it.
You know, one of the things that the Colts always do with Peyton Manning is they'll let those ends come up the field, but they're always going to secure the middle of the pocket for him. So he knows that he can step up and throw, and then every once in a while, as he steps up to throw, he's going to find a big hole like he just did there.
First time Manning has run for a first down this season. It's a 9-yard gain from the gun at the 16-yard line. With protection, pass caught. That's Reggie Wayne. He'll take it to the 10-yard line. It will be second down and 4.
You just feel lately in the last couple of games, you know, the ones I watched on tape and this one here, that Peyton Manning is looking to Reggie Wayne more than he is Marvin Harrison.
And tonight he's certainly been doing that. That's 7 catches for Wayne. Harrison has caught 2.
I think I'd throw one to Harrison right now.
Yeah, and the crowd would love it. Remember, the next one breaks the record held by Young and Rice. And Manning will throw, and that is Marvin Harrison, but he's got to scoop it off the turf. So the throw into the ground, and Marvin Harrison will still have to wait for that 86th connection.
Well, they had a single coverage on him, and then they brought this safety over here. And again, you see they're keeping that safety in there, although Marvin Harrison really split the corner in safety.
He did, and we've got a penalty here.
That's what I was saying. I think Marvin Harrison is open a lot more than Peyton Manning looks at him.
Jerry Austin after a small conference. Well, the conference is still going on.
You notice that Peyton Manning tends to get in those conferences a little with the officials?
Oh, yeah. First name basis with these guys.
Too many men on the field. Half the distance to the goal. Result will be a first down.
You know what that was, Al? That was attack. See, because they can go no huddle, that's what they can do. And if he sees the Rams trying to substitute and he has his guys up there, he goes attack, and they snap the ball, and then the Rams will have too many men in the field. And that's what they just did on that last play.
One of the great benefits of going no huddle, you try to keep the defense from making changes, and when they do, you can catch them, and that's a big half the distance penalty because it's a first down. Instead of a 3rd and 4, it's a 1st and goal at the 5-yard line. Harrison split to the right. Too high. Too high for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Reggie Wayne, the intended receiver.
Yeah, we saw him running play action, and this time it was a little bootleg. You know, once the back goes one way, you see the back goes to the left, and then he comes back to the right. But Peyton Manning, when he runs a bootleg, he still kind of stays in that same pocket.
2nd and goal. You got Slocum in the slot to the right. Harrison wide to the right. On 2nd and goal, Manning is flushed out on the run. He's going to run it to about the 5-yard line. Nothing opened up in the end zone. Damian Lewis was chasing him, and it will be 3rd down and goal now.
You just saw Peyton Manning do something twice on this drive that you're not going to see him do a lot of. Again, they have coverage. You see, they're pressing Marvin Harrison and then keeping a safety over the top, and then another safety coming from the other side. So it looks like man-to-man press coverage, but they have a safety in behind him. You see he's down here. There'll be a corner up here and then a safety right behind.
3rd down and goal. Harrison still to the right. Manning forced back. Manning throws over the middle. Manning throws incomplete. Intended for Wayne, and that coverage by DeJuan Gross. Gross, who's been in and out of practice this week with a hamstring pull, plays tonight and turns in a big take here to keep St. Louis in the lead and force a field goal attempt.
And you're going to see Gross here on Reggie Wayne, and he just takes Stokely out there. Ivy does, and then Gross is here on Reggie Wayne again. I don't know what Marvin Harrison is doing there, but it doesn't look like much of a pattern, does it?
No, ambling into the end zone.
Right, and Peyton Manning looked left the whole time.
This is a 22-yard attempt for Mike Vanderjagt, so he bangs it through. But the long drive bogs down. And from 1st and goal, they go to a 3-pointer in a 2017 St. Louis advantage. A big rally there today. Kickoff from the rookie Rayner was taken by Chris Johnson from the 10-yard line. And he brings it back to the 28. You got a flag back up at the St. Louis 40-yard line.
I just saw a little while ago Peyton Manning was in an argument with his offensive line down there.
Holding number 57 of the receiving team during the run back. 10 yards, first down.
Penalty on Trev Falk. Rams ball. So here you have Peyton Manning moments ago. We don't, by the way, he's mic'd up, as you know, tonight, but we don't control what we get. That's controlled by the league, so we'd love to be able to let you hear this, but we can't.
Well, you see what happened is Peyton Manning started talking to the offensive line, and then the offensive line coach was Howard Mudd, who was talking to him, and he said, knock it off, and then Peyton Manning went to Howard Mudd, and then that's when Tarek Glenn stood up.
Now you've got Kevin Curtis making the catch, but all arguments end with guys making up normally. I mean, you got to work this closely over a long period of time.
Well, you know, and that's just the heat of battle. I mean, the more cameras you get, the more of that stuff that you're going to see, but it goes on all the time. Sure. And has always gone on all the time.
So just carrying on with Fred Gaudelli all day long, right? Only kidding. 2nd and 5. Freddie's the greatest. Here's Falk. Gain of 4. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Rams Star Trek. How the guy's been doing. Of course, Bulger's out of the game. So Martin has come in, and look at that. 10 out of 11 is Jamie off the bench. Steven Jackson with an average of close to 6 yards a carry. Torrey Holt had 1 big reception and 5 small ones to this point for 70 yards.
Torrey Holt wasn't even sure if he was going to play tonight. In fact, just the other day, he was saying his right knee's about 60%.
So they're minus their coach, they're minus their quarterback, and Holt is 60%. And they have the lead. You've got a flag here before the snap.
It's Orlando Pace and Dwight Freeney.
76 offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
And from a 3rd and 1 to a 3rd and 6. Tony Parker is here tonight, the San Antonio Spurs. Look at this. Tim Duncan is there as well. A couple of the Spurs have come to Indianapolis, and they're used to being in this town and taking on the Indiana Pacers. World champion San Antonio Spurs, who figured to be as good as ever this season. They did nothing but improve themselves in the offseason.
How do we have graphics for these guys? How do we know they're going to be here? Is that an old NBA graphic?
We just carry the NBA. I have them in my suitcase. Here's Martin throwing, and that's caught by Falk, and Marshall still showing some of those deft moves that he exhibited at San Diego State, then here with Indianapolis for 5 years, and then the scintillating second half of his career with St. Louis.
And we saw Orlando Pace jump off sides the play before, but watch him here again on Dwight Freeney. I mean, the thing that he's doing is he's getting off with Freeney, and then he's getting his hands on him. And Marshall Falk can still make these kinds of moves, can he?
Falk's in spot duty right now because Jackson is the man, but there are the numbers for his career in terms of receiving. Steven Jackson now. 1-yard gain. Well, John, we saw Tony Parker. We saw Tim Duncan. I heard that Robert Ory was supposed to be here as well, but I guess he doesn't show up until the last 2 minutes.
Someone said they saw him at halftime. I heard someone say that Robert Ory was here.
Well, they play
they can kick one out to him at the end of the game.
That's what I'm saying. He'll show up at the 2-minute warning and win the game for you.
There's Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach, talking to Peyton Manning, and I think they were the two that started the argument.
2nd down and 9 from the 31-yard line. Under 7 to play in the 3rd. Martin over the middle, and that is caught by Cam Cleland, the tight end, recently activated. He'd been hurt. Martin has now completed 11 passes in a row, and that will be enough to move the chains right on the 40-yard line and a 1st down.
Dwight Freeney's trying every kind of spin that he can against Orlando Pace. Here he tries to spin the other way and go inside, and in doing so, he runs right into the left guard, Claude Terrell.
From the 40-yard line now. Action. Jackson will lose the football. Colts have it. Harper has it. Big turnover. And a flag. Dwight Freeney is the guy who came in with Jackson carrying it, and I think it was Freeney who created this.
And it was another spin by Freeney. You know, he's been trying that spin, and he's been frustrated because Orlando Pace has been there all night. I think that one was on the tight end, Maliuna. And he's going to spin on him, and he's going to spin right into the ball carrier. Watch him here. There's Maliuna trying to block him, you see, and then once he spins, he gets to the inside and just knocks that ball out of Steven Jackson's arm.
Now the penalty call.
The line judge, as he's moving down the side of the field, ran in and was knocked down, but we're not sure if it was a player or if it might have been a ball boy. Therefore, there's no foul. Indianapolis's ball, 1st and 10.
So the line judge got knocked down and the flag came out, and there's no foul. Fumble stands. Indy has it. 6 minutes to go in the third. 3-point game. Steven Jackson's fumble created by Freeney, recovered by Harper. And we'll go back to the tripping of the line judge, who accidentally gets tripped, I think, by Sean McDonald. Threw the flag. That's why Jerry Austin announced they weren't sure whether it was a ball boy or a player, but there's no foul. And now Indy has it at the 35-yard line on 1st down. And Manning will throw it to James, will throw it low. Peyton Manning is mic'd up. Have a listen.
Jared, did Tony mention to you all about trying to spot the ball as quickly as as you can? We're going no huddle.
He didn't say anything.
Okay, and it's like, I mean, obviously, it's, y'all got to do your deal, but it's kind of like, it's an up tempo for us. Told him about spotting the ball, so stay on him.
You're right. He's in every part of the game.
I know he's talking to every official when they have a huddle. He's right in the middle of it, and you can never say that Peyton Manning isn't in the game.
Completely prepared. Corey Ivy is an injured Ram right now, and he's down at the 50-yard line. So there's an injury timeout here. It'll be 2nd and 10 when we come back as they work on Ivy. 6:01 remaining in the third quarter. St. Louis up by 3. Corey Ivy, I think, just cramped up, and he went back to the locker room. Ivy going back for an IV. I couldn't help myself.
No, I know he's going in for an IV, but he's probably played more than he has because, again, the Rams have been in nickel all night because the Colts have been in 3 wide receivers. So Corey Ivy has played a lot more tonight than he's usual.
And Terry Fair comes in to take his spot, and that ball was caught at the 32-yard line for a very short gain for Edgerrin James.
One of the other things that Peyton Manning did, he said, hey, if you have a chance, he told Edgerrin James, if you have a chance, to be sure and chip on 91. And that's Leonard Little, playing over here, the guy that, if he's feeling any pressure, it's from that side.
Little and Manning, teammates at the University of Tennessee in the 90s. 3rd down and 7. Manning finds room and then winds up hitting Stokely. So Peyton Manning with those little mincing steps to avoid getting sacked, and Terry Fair with the coverage on the play and a big 1st down here.
Again, it's because the middle of the pocket was secure, so Peyton Manning could step up. Here you'll see we talk about 3 wide receivers. The Colts have been doing that all night. That's Brendan Stokely, and he's the inside receiver, or he's the slot receiver, right or left.
Now from the 19-yard line, they're going to give it to James. He's going to bring it back to the left side. Look for a gain of a yard, maybe 2. DeJuan Gross makes the stop.
Tyoka Jackson was talking the other day about Edgerrin James, and he says the way he runs now, he looks like he's on skis. And he does. He doesn't bring his feet out of the ground very high. I mean, he just kind of slides along, and as I said earlier, is running with a lot more power now than moves.
Sometimes downhill, sometimes slalom. 2nd down and 9 at the 18-yard line. Here's James. He turns in his own little Dwight Freeney spin move there. 13-yard line. Edgerrin James. Remember, the Marshall Faulk trade precipitated by the fact they were going to draft James, make him the guy. And take a look at this. more than half of the games in which he has played, he's rushed for 100 yards. So Barry Sanders would be in that category. Jim Brown would be in that category. And that, of course, tells you about the company that James keeps.
Tony Dungy thinks he's going to gain over 1,700 yards this year.
On a pace for it. 3rd down and 4 from the shotgun. Manning throwing, and that's going to be a first down as Stokely gets inside Fair. So Terry Fair playing because Corey Ivy had to come out of the game, and they've gone that way twice. And now you've got Leonard Little, who's had a bad back, who is still down on the ground at the 22-yard line. So the Rams, at least for the moment, temporarily without another starter. Injury timeout. Leonard Little cramped up. He comes out. It'll be 1st and goal from the 8-yard line. Indy, the last time they got down this deep, had to settle for a field goal. Not this time. Edgerrin James for the touchdown. Derek Glenn helped to pave the way, and for the first time in the game, the Colts have the lead.
And Tariq Glenn makes a good block on Hargrove. Edgerrin James is able to bounce to the outside, and once he hit that 10-yard line, did he explode.
Mike Vanderjagt for the point after here, and with 3:16 remaining in the 3rd, the Colts capitalize on the Steven Jackson fumble and go 35 yards in 7 plays, and now lead 24-20.
But he's going to get a pretty good block right here from Tariq Glenn. But watch when he gets to the outside and he hits the 10-yard line right there. Well, the 5-yard line it was. I mean, the 5-yard line, he goes boom and takes off. A nice cut there, a nice cut. That's a jump cut back to the outside, and then the explosion from the 5-yard line in. Whew. That was pretty. He's running with more power and less moves. He had some moves on that one.
Edgerrin James, power, speed, as you say, running more and more like a skier. Meanwhile, Manning is mic'd up.
Whoa. Whoa. They're playing pass all day. Let's just keep running that ball. Hey, just got to keep it in positive, right? 2nd 3, 1st down. Don't be afraid to help on 91 every now and then on a chip. Think you can club them and get inside here on the Soul Train? You think you can, give them? Think that might spin them?
A word for everybody.
That's right. He goes up and down the line. That was there with his offensive lineman, and when he said we can run on him, we have to run. His center right there, Jeff Saturday, said yeah. Offensive linemen all over it. High school, college, pro, they all love to run.
Dave Rayner, the kickoff specialist, to the goal line. Chris Johnson. And Chris Johnson can only bring it back to the 12-yard line. And so the Colts were at one point down 17-0. Now up 24-20. We talked about the trade when Falk went to the Rams and Edgerrin James came here, was drafted. And take a look at the numbers put up by each through those years. And again, that's the type of deal that you could say helped everybody, because Indy got a couple of draft choices. They were able to draft James. Falk goes to St. Louis and has had a Hall of Fame career. Napoleon was the man behind it on the India. 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. And that is intercepted by Cato June. His 2nd pick of the game. Cato June is taken down to the 15-yard line. His 5th interception of the season, and that linebacker leads the league in picks.
When you play that cover 2 and you're going to run your middle linebacker deep, this linebacker here has to squeeze. He's a right linebacker right here. You see, he goes back, and then he just comes in. And they have to jump that middle, because the middle guy runs back and then they squeeze it with the outside guy. That's what Derek Brooks does at Tampa, and that's what Cato June does in Indianapolis.
Cato June, what a 9-day period for him. He had 2 interceptions in San Francisco. last Sunday. Over the last 8 days, that's 4 picks now. 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line. The play clock all the way down, and Manning has to take a timeout. So Peyton doing a lot of directing of traffic and then runs out of time. Lose 150 calories just calling the play. And for the Rams, well, you start with your coach, who has a bacterial infection of a heart valve, so he's on the shelf at least for a few weeks. You lose your quarterback. You've got Isaac Bruce, who can't even suit up for the 3rd week in a row. You got Torrey Holt playing at 60%. You got Leonard Little with cramps. You got Corey Ivy coming out of the game with cramps. There's Isaac Bruce right there. So the Rams come in a valiant effort, at least at the beginning and even through this point in the game, but it's an attrition thing now. First and 10 at the 15 after the timeout. Little screen. Edgerrin James. That's the slalom route he takes there to the 6-yard line, gain of 9.
Well, you know, we talked about Steven Jackson and how he was running with power and finishing his runs off. Edgerrin James sure does the same thing, doesn't he? I mean, they get low and then they just kind of explode at the end.
James takes himself out. Dominic Rhodes comes in, number 33. Second in the short 2, and they'll give it to Rhodes. And he gets taken down by Ryan Pickett. Big defensive stand coming up here for the Rams to try to keep it a 1-possession game. In the meantime, Marvin Harrison, kind of the forgotten figure tonight, the lonesome end.
Well, you know, he's out there and they're doubling him every time, and he has a signal I've seen where he would look in at Peyton Manning and just put his hands down like, hey, there's nothing, I don't have anything here, and he hasn't been running the pattern and telling Peyton go someplace else.
3rd and 1. To the ground. Rhodes. And that road leads to the 2-yard line on the 1st and goal.
Yeah, and that's what he was talking about. And that's the thing that Peyton Manning will do, because he's very unselfish, that it's not there. The pass isn't there. They're going to keep those safeties up over the top. They're not going to give them the pass. They're not going to let them get slant. But in doing that and taking that away, they're giving them the run. So whether it's Rhodes or it's Edgerrin James, he's just taking it.
And James tonight 131 yards rushing. Indy with 137 on the ground and 147 in the air. So they're giving him the rush. They're taking advantage of it. And Rhodes cannot get into the end zone. The Rams stiffen. That's Damian Lewis with the tackle. Final minute of the period.
This is when you like to have Edgerrin James in there, because Dominic Rhodes cut that off a little short. That stretch play has to go out to the numbers, and you make your decision when you get to the numbers. He made his decision before he got to the numbers. Watch it here. You see, he doesn't get out all the way to the numbers. He gets there and he makes his cut before he gets to the numbers. They want to stretch that play more.
They get another Ram down. That's Damian Lewis, and again, that's a cramp. The way they're treating it. So you've had Corey Ivy, you've had Little, and Lewis.
Yeah, haven't you noticed? And again, the Rams play indoors too, but indoor stadiums tend to dehydrate you.
They especially when the crowd is in, despite the air conditioning, for a long period of time, and the game 2.5 hours old. It's warm. Are you warm, Sam?
Actually, I'm not, but I have warmed up throughout the game. When I first walked in here, Al, I had the goosebumps. It was pretty cold in here. They like to keep it kind of cool in here, but with the crowd getting into this, it has warmed up a bit, but it's not hot in here, Al.
Yeah, but you wear size 0. Anyone that wears size 0, now these guys like Damian Lewis, he doesn't wear size 0. So if you wear size 0, of course you're not going to be hot.
That's supposed to be my secret, John.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, size 0 is a bad thing, not a good thing?
It's a great thing.
I'm sorry.
Second down and goal.
Who even knew?
Dominic Rhodes is the running back. can't get in. So Indy having a tough time when they get down inside. It's the third time they've been inside the 10-yard line. In their last 3 drives, they had to settle for a field goal. They did get it in the last time. And now it's tough to get it in here on 3rd down and goal.
This is a time, I think, when you have a great back like Edgerrin James, and he has to be in there. I know that they can take himself out, and I know that they need a break, and I know all those things. When you get down in this area, you need your top guy in there.
James ends of the field. It's the end of the 3rd. Indianapolis 24, St. Louis 20. Monday Night Football continues after this message from our ABC stations. After the game, your late local news on ABC. ESPN has SportsCenter, all the day's sports news and highlights. As we start the 4th quarter in Indianapolis, Al Michaels with John Madden and Sam Ryan. Edgerrin James has been out for several plays now, and they're going to actually look at him now. He's going to get up on the bench because it looked like he was limping a little. You got Harrison out of the game here on 3rd down and goal from the 1-yard line.
I would think, because they're in goal line offense here, and I would think if Edgerrin James were in there, I'd run it. The fact that he's not, I would probably play action pass here.
Dominic Rhodes is the running back. They give it to him, and that's the road to the end zone. Touchdown. Rams didn't make it easy, but the Colts get it in after the turnover. Five runs, 1 pass from 14 yards out after the Cato June pick, and they're 1 point away from an 11-point lead. Mike Vanderjagt. Two seconds into the 4th.
It all starts with the center, Jeff Saturday, and then the right side of that line just caves the Rams in. Watch it right here and right here and right here, and that's where Dominic Rhodes is going to run. You see, they just cave everything into here, and then he's able to get outside of it. That is really a cave job. Watch it. Kick out, and cave.
Indy's controlled the ball from the middle part of the 1st quarter. The Rams ran the first 11 plays of the game, but since have run 27 plays, and the Colts have run 59 plays.
And the Rams, the last 2 series, have had turnovers too. So that's the thing that instead of you getting plays, you gave the ball back to them, and then they got more plays. And with an offense like this, and the thing that impresses me about the Colts is, to me, it's still about Peyton Manning and it's about Marvin Harrison. But if you're going to take that away, that offensive line is now good enough, and their running game is good enough to beat them.
We saw Marty's brother, Kurt Schottenheimer, the secondary coach, talking to his group as this kickoff is angled and is fielded by Chris Johnson at the 6-yard line to the 20-yard line. John, I had no idea that you had this in mind for the Madden Cruiser. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there it is. And here is, months before the next Indy 500, the Madden Cruiser out there on the track doing what over the 2.5-mile surface?
Just going as fast as we can, just speeding. You have a speedway, you want to get in a speedway. When you go to a place like, okay, we're in Indianapolis. What are you doing in Indianapolis? Indianapolis 500. Okay, let's do it.
You have to do it.
I'm surprised they let us in.
Steven Jackson. You want good publicity. What you do next year is you hire Danica Patrick to drive the Madden Cruiser in the Indy 500.
Now that would be a real upgrade.
That would be. Willie and Joe just left without you.
Yeah.
2nd and 10 now at the 20-yard line.
This is when this defense of the Colts get good because, that speed that Tony Dungy was talking about, they really do react and gang tackle well.
Here's Jackson. And that Colt defense at the top of its game right now. Bob Sanders picked in the second round last year out of the University of Iowa to upgrade that secondary with a tackle.
You know, and when Tony Dungy was talking about we want more speed and toughness, that was one of the guys he was talking about, is Bob Sanders. He said he gives them toughness in that secondary, he and Mike Doss. And their #1 draft choice, Marlon Jackson, too. So those three guys are three tough guys in their secondary.
3rd down and 9. And it's so loud that you've got a flag and you've got a false start against St. Louis.
Well, the Colts in the first quarter, they allowed 17 points. And then since that time, they've only allowed 3. So I think when they came in here, I think the Rams, with their pace, with their offense, with their speed, I think shocked them a little. And then I think they finally settled in and figured out what the Rams are doing.
That plus the attrition of the Rams, losing Bolger, defensive guys cramping. Rams are going to take a timeout. 3rd down and 14, taking a timeout because this one is getting away from them. Indy by 11. The Indy defense, great here in the second half. The turnovers, right now they have the Rams pinned in a 3rd and 14 situation. Rams compelled to use a timeout to regather.
This is when football's fun if you're a Colt defensive player.
3rd and 14. 4-man rush. They get to Martin. The arm is coming forward. There's no flag. And the Rams come up with the football back at the 2-yard line.
We've been watching Dwight Freeney spin all night, and he spun again.
And Robert Mathis comes in there to create that back at the 2-yard line.
Watch, here's Freeney there. You see, he just spins, and boom, right there. But as you said, Mathis beat him to it. Mathis is speeding from the other side, Freeney from one side, and they just sandwich Jamie Martin.
Not a good sandwich to be in if you're the quarterback. Freeney and Mathis. They've been doing that a good part of the season. Brian Barker to punt. Line drive kick, good deep kick. Troy Walters at the 43, but the kick was too low, and it sets up a pretty good run back as Walters brings it back to the 38-yard line. Let's go back and take a look at the lineage here. All-time touchdown duos, quarterback to receiver. You go back to 1936. Arnie Herber and Don Hudson at Green Bay combined for 29. That was broken by Green Bay Cecil Espel and Don Hudson. Then Y.A. Tittle and Billy Wilson with 41 in San Francisco. Unitas and Berry, and they held the record for a while, with 63 until Dan Marino and Mark Clayton broke it with 79. And then Young and Rice with 85. That's the mark now shared with Harrison and Manning. So sooner or later, the crowd hopes sooner, they'll get to 86, and they will be the record holder. James. 2-yard loss. What was amazing about that, our man Steve Hurt came up with that back in 1990. And remember, everybody thought, well, if Marino has it, it was Mark Duper. You had thought at that point Duper was thought of as maybe, I don't know, the Marx brothers, but you thought of Duper maybe before Clayton. It was Clayton who had the record.
And how about if you thought Jerry Rice was part of it, you would think Joe Montana would be the other part of it.
Absolutely. 2nd down and 11. Manning throws, and that's caught by Brandon Stokely at the 23-yard line. Stokely having a nice night. 4 grabs, 38 yards, and there it is. The two tandems on top. Marino Clayton. Kelly and Reed at 65 would be 4th. And then Unitas and Berry of the Baltimore Colts. Montana and Rice at 55.
Right, and Steve Young said that he never thought that would be broken the way football is today with free agency and all that, that a great quarterback and a great wide receiver would never play together long enough.
Well, Manning now in his 8th year. Harrison has been here for 10. James going to cut it back, take it inside the 20 and go to the 19-yard line.
And that's the way you run the stretch play. If someone's watching and say, you know, I'm a high school kid, I want to learn how to run the stretch play, we're running it, just watch that last play. You just take off and you just run right to the numbers. And then when you get at the numbers on the field, then you make your decision. Watch it. Here he is. He's just going to run right at these numbers. Here's the numbers right here. When he gets to that point, he's going to make his decision. He decides that he's going to cut, and then he cuts back. That's a perfect stretch play.
Second down and 5 from the 18-yard line. Manning throws, and that's Reggie Wayne. A flag is down. Wayne trying to get the first down. Came close. Manning is indicating, I would think, defensive holding, I guess.
We've seen Manning do everything. Yeah. We've seen him coach the receivers. We've seen him coach the back, chip on this guy. We've seen him coach the offensive line. We've seen him, be the head coach talking to the official.
Holding, number 24 of the defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
So for those of you in St. Louis who have switched over here, your team got off to a great start, 17-0, but attrition. You lose Bolger. They've had other injuries. Bruce isn't playing. Holt is 60%. And Indy is just too good at this point. Up by 11. And James will take the ball to the 6-yard line.
When he decides to go somewhere, he's going, isn't it? I mean, he takes that cut, and he's going to turn that ball upfield or downfield, and he just does it. Watch this. It's here, and then right now he decides that's where he's going. The guys just fly off him. I mean, Archuleta's a pretty good tackler, but when he makes contact, he still loses 2 more yards, or he still gains 2 more yards.
142 rushing yards for James tonight. 2nd and 3. And they go for the record, and Harrison has it. The Rams are going to say no, he wasn't in bounds, so if it stands, unless it gets challenged and overturned, that's your record. It would be 86 on the fade from Manning to Harrison.
They were looking for that all night. They finally caught man-to-man out there. He throws him a perfect pass. Watch Marvin Harrison's feet. Here he catches the ball down and drag that right foot. That should be a record.
It should be. That's beautiful.
That looks like art. They have Stokely on the same side, so he got man-to-man. He gave himself a little room to the outside so he could bend in, and then he got both feet inbounds. Congratulations.
And Harrison, who normally takes all of his touchdown balls and keeps them, insists that Peyton take this one. The extra point is good by Vanderjagt. That's 86. That's a new NFL record. And they still have a lot of years ahead of them. And the Colts have an 18-point lead. So for Marvin Harrison, a very quiet night until just now. He caught only 2 balls. He now has 3 catches for 21 yards. He's had a lot better days. 18-point lead. Johnson to run it back up to the 23-yard line. And he lets Manning take the ball. Peyton to the end zone. His 2nd touchdown pass tonight, 38-20. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Sam Ryan at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. Colts on top and leading by 18. Indy trying to go to 6-0. Jamie Martin, who took over for the injured Bolger. That one's intercepted. Harper comes away with it. His 2nd takeaway. To the 18 he goes. 4th time that the Colts have taken the ball away from the Rams.
We're talking to Tony Dungy about the defense. He was talking about toughness and speed, and the other thing he talked about was getting turnovers. And even at halftime, he told Sam, he said, our defense isn't making anything happen. We have to make some plays on defense. Well, they came out in the 2nd half, and this defense has really made plays.
Rams will go home. And now the question, of course, after the game is, what about Bolger? They play New Orleans next week, Jacksonville the week after. Indianapolis goes to winless Houston, and then they have a week off before that Monday night matchup against New England. Martin had completed 11 straight passes, and now his last 2 have been intercepted. And Harrison, can he get in? No, he stopped just short of the goal line.
As you said, he was quiet most of the night, but they had him doubled, they had him bracketed, they were doing all this thing. Here he is, he's just the outside receiver, and again, he does this with quickness. He starts upfield, and then boom, he comes into the inside, and these guys, Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, know each other so well. I think Peyton Manning could throw that blindfolded. I think Marvin Harrison could run that route blindfolded.
And before it's over and done with, barring injury, these guys will put a lot of distance between themselves and Young and Rice.
Well, then now they're in their goal line offense again, so Marvin Harrison is out.
And Manning will take a timeout. That's the second taken by Indy in the half with 8:19 to go. Indy on top by 18, trying to make it 25. Baseball field is Victory Field, home of the AAA Indianapolis Indians, and then under the dome. Here it is again. Take a look at this on the touchdown pass to Harrison.
Watch Peyton Manning here. When we talk about communication, you see he signals out to Marvin Harrison, and then this happens. You know, we always talk about the two of them have signals, and they know each other, and they just have little hand movements, body movements. That was a hand movement, and that got him a record.
First and goal now after the timeout. Edgerrin James is in the game. Dallas Clark sets up for leverage. And Edgerrin James will burrow his way in for a touchdown. He went the low road, so they had to wait for the official to come in and find him. And across the goal line he goes to make it 44-20.
That's a 4th Colt touchdown off a turnover. And that's what they do. This offense is so good, they can run it or they can pass it. And if you're going to give it to them, if you're going to give them a turnover, their offense will take it and get it in the end zone. There's 2 things a running back can do down the goal line. He can go over the top or he can go underneath, not run right into it.
Point 45 off the foot of Mike Vanderjagt. So it's been a big night for Harrison, a record-setting night, but Edgerrin James has really been the star. 143 yards on the ground. And Indy up by 25. Indianapolis leading 45-20. And again, the record-setting touchdown, the 86th right here. Peyton Manning is mic'd up. Go back and have a listen.
You got it. You keep it. We'll split it.
He's still doing play action.
Now, isn't that something that he tried to hand it to Marvin Harrison and he just kind of shrugged it and didn't want it? But the funny thing about that is Marvin Harrison.
25-yard line. Maybe they should open up a joint custody account. Sam Ryan.
Well, right now, Al, I have custody of it. Number 86 right here. Peyton told me the other day Marvin does have 1 through 85. He suggested to him a couple weeks ago, hey, you can keep it. And Peyton said, why don't we split it? You heard in that mic'd up, Peyton did suggest that we can split it. So how would they split it? Peyton said they could actually cut it in half, stuff it with a note or something sentimental, and mount it on something. So they're going to split it, gentlemen.
Or, Sam, you could put it on eBay.
You don't know where that ball is going to end up, though. I mean, it could end up with the Colts and in their office. It could end up in the Hall of Fame.
Jackson makes the catch outside. Gain of 3. Middle linebacker Gary Brackett with the tackle there.
You know, Gary Brackett, he's starting there middle linebacker now. He's kind of an undersized middle linebacker, but look at him. He looks exactly, now I'm not saying he plays like him, he looks exactly like Mike Singletary.
Yeah.
I saw him at practice the other day and I said, that looks like a young Mike Singletary.
Eyes wide open. Not quite as wide as Mike's. That was Mike's trademark. Steven Jackson will get submarined by Bob Sanders, but not until he picks up a first down up at the 36-yard line.
Yeah, if you're going to play that two-deep zone, that Tampa 2 that they play here, that the Colts play, those safeties have to make that tackle in the open field because they're deep and they're the only ones. And you see the linebackers there. And then once you get past that second level, that guy there has to make that play. And that's why Tony Dungy really likes Bob Sanders.
From the 36-yard line, Jackson up to the 47. Again, going back to the storyline in this game coming in, Colts unbeaten. Rams without Mike Martz with the bacterial infection of the heart valve. We were talking about Mike before. Mike is a very passionate and emotional man, and a guy who, as I said before, I was told, his doctor said, stay away from football, but Joe Vitt is the interim coach. And, you know, for Mike, I mean, how do you tell a guy like Mike Martz to stay away from football?
You can't tell any head coach that because, you know, it's your team, and your team is like your family. It's like your baby. You can't tell them to stay away from it.
And that's exactly
well, you can tell them to stay away from it. They won't do it. I'm sorry.
Sure. And for Mike, you know, and we wish Mike the best and take care of yourself and just rest up and listen to your doctors. But, you know, for him, it's going to be such an agonizing thing because let's hope he gets better, and you start to feel better, and you think, you know, I got to get back into it. I got to get there quicker than later. From the 42-yard line, 1st and 10. Draw to Jackson. Big hole, and Steven Jackson to the 29-yard line.
You know, the Rams in the second half had so many turnovers, and the Colts are playing pass and expecting that, you know, because the Rams are behind, they're going to be throwing every down. So they're coming on a heavy pass rush, and the Rams are just going with the draw play.
Here's Jackson tonight, 87 on the ground, a lot early and a few yards here late. Plus he's caught 4. Bolger hurt, sprained shoulder, first half. Reduced the communicator in the second half. From the 28-yard line. Jackson will take it again. His 5th reception. And Steven Jackson gets to the 22-yard line where Harper stops him.
You know, Mark Bolger did 2 things on that play that really surprised me. But again, they were probably instincts or reaction. He threw an interception, and then he went over and got in position to make the tackle. Then he had to take on a blocker, and he took on a blocker with his right shoulder. Now, most quarterbacks won't do that. You see him here? He had to give Thornton something to block, and he gave him his right shoulder. So his being in that position surprised me, and then turning that right shoulder surprised me.
2nd and 3. Almost picked, intended for Holt, and it's Nick Harper who's been all over the place in the second half.
Yeah, this whole secondary has, and we talk about Nick Harper as a corner and Bob Sanders and Mike Doss, the plays that they've been making, and they're a much more active physical secondary than they've been over the years. The offense wanted that one. They wanted another one. They have 4 scores from turnovers this half.
They have 3 interceptions, 1 fumble. And this is Marshall Faulk taking it to the 10-yard line. So they're exploiting the middle of the defense, which the Colts are basically giving them here.
Yeah, they're giving them that because they're giving them a heavy pass rush, and they're just rushing the passer, trying to get to him, and they just hand the draw and run right by him. And then when you have a guy like Steven Jackson running it, you know, you're not going to tackle him with a hand as you go by to the quarterback.
From the 9-yard line, Marshall Faulk is the back here. Martin stays upright after nearly tripping and then throws and has a touchdown to Cam Cleland, the tight end.
He had Cam Cleland all the way, and as you said, he started to come out of there and he slipped a little, and I was watching Cleland. He was wide open. I didn't know if Martin was going to get control of the ball in time to get it to Cleland. Watch him, he's going to fake to the left, and he kind of steps there, and you see how open Cleveland is and how long he was open before that ball got out there. Mike Doss, number 20, was the closest guy. They went for the play-action fake, and Cam Cleveland is wide open for about 2 minutes.
Now the Rams are going to line up to go for 2. It's a 19-point differential. So they're trying to cut it to 17. This is an either-or here, 17 or 18. It's still a 3-possession situation for the Rams, and of course an onside kick figures to be the next play after the conversion attempt. And this is Falk, and Marshall will take it in. So Marshall Falk will add 2 more points to his scoring total on his way to the Hall of Fame, and that makes it 45-28. So the Colts at one point down 17-0. Steven Jackson, his numbers on the night, and he got off to a hot start. But then Bolger gets hurt, and that was a huge play, obviously, because it meant Jamie Martin, the experienced but seldom used quarterback, had to come in, even though he played fairly well at the outset. Edgerrin James has had a big night. Peyton Manning, he's had better numbers, but again, Peyton just managing the game efficiently and effectively, and the offense taking advantage of the turnovers. Harrison with a record-setting catch, 45-28. And you know, John, one thing we haven't touched on tonight, you look at these franchises, the old Baltimore Colts, the old Los Angeles Rams, used to be in the Western Conference of the NFL, would play all the time in those years. Now, of course, a different situation. They don't play that much. But these were 2 franchises traded for each other back in 1972. Carroll Rosenblum, and there is Jim Irsay, whose father, Bob, wanted to get into football. So to get the Baltimore Colts, what he had to do is buy the Los Angeles Rams and then trade them with Carroll Rosenblum, who owned Baltimore but wanted to own a team in Los Angeles. And for tax purposes, they effected this trade where Irsay actually owned the Rams very briefly, and then they effected the franchise trade, and they put the good hands people in. That's Marvin Harrison, making sure the Rams don't recover the onside kick.
Yeah, I think Carroll Rosenblum, when he owned the Colts, he wanted to get out to Los Angeles, and maybe you know part of it was a tax, and part of it was that's the franchise that Carroll wanted too.
And an injured Colt right here, and that's Brackett, the middle linebacker, Gary Brackett, also playing on special teams, who gets shaken up. And the irony is, when you think of these franchises, they have been in effect owned by the same families for about a third of a century, as they attend to Brackett here, and Peyton Manning expresses his concern from the sideline along with Dallas Clark and Reggie Wayne.
Peyton's not going to be playing anymore tonight.
Yeah, Jim Sorgi's going to come in. He's his backup right now, but the concern right now is on the field with a guy who's not only a special teams member but a very vital part of their defense in Gary Brackett. And he gets up, so that's obviously a good sign. But you think about these franchises as Brackett comes off. Carroll Rosenblum owned the team and then died in '79, and Georgia Frontier, the widow of Carroll Rosenblum, survived a court battle to retain the team, and she still owns the team. And in the Irsay family, this team was in Baltimore in '72 and then moved to Indianapolis in '84, and Jim has taken over, and right now Jim is guiding the only undefeated team in the National Football League.
They look pretty good too, don't they?
They do.
And this defense really is better.
From the 46-yard line. Sergio looks like Peyton. Here's Rhodes, and we have Peyton again mic'd up.
Louisville, Houston. Orange 38. Orange 38. Lock. Gotta firm up a little bit, boys. They're coming. Damn. Hey, it's tough. No, no, look, no, look, no, he got it back, no, look at it, wait, he got it back. All right, you got it. You keep it. We'll split it.
He's been on so much tonight he should pay after dues.
He is all over the place. You know, it's interesting, Tom Moore, the way he calls plays to Peyton Manning, and that's what he does up at the line of scrimmage, is audible. He says he doesn't send in a play, he sends an idea in. And the idea is maybe a run right, and then he has a companion if he doesn't like that, run left, and then if he doesn't like the run, he has a pass. So those are the things that he's going through.
Rhodes. Coaching by concept.
That's not bad. You know, it used to be like last year, he would send in 3 plays. In other words, here's 2 runs and a pass, and you know, if you want to throw it, I mean, if you see the coverage and that's what you want to do, throw it. If not, you know, you can run strong or you can run weak. And now he's shortened it down. He just gives them an idea, just gives one part, right? Run right. And then if that's there, you stay with it. If not, you run to the left. And if you don't like either one of those, you throw the ball.
I love it. I mean, you know, simplify your life. You have a quarterback like Peyton Manning, uncomplicated.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. I mean, having a quarterback like Peyton Manning and having him that long, the offensive coordinator and quarterback together.
That is the thing. Straight ahead. Rhodes. Now, Indianapolis goes to Houston next week. Take a look at this. The Texans have not won a game. Then they have a bye. Then that game at New England is a Monday night game. And that's the game in the playoffs in the last 2 years that Indianapolis couldn't win. So they got bounced out. Big game in New England on November 7th on a Monday. We'll also see them on Monday night, November 28th, as they take on Pittsburgh here. But Indy will go to 6-0. The only unbeaten team in the NFL at the 2-minute warning in Indiana.
Bedlam, Curly Lambeau Stadium in Green Bay. Oh, yeah. I think America's loving this one. I sure am. Do they love it in Green Bay? They love it in Green Bay.
Goes to the end zone. It is off for the touchdown by Davis. Lord, you can take me now. I've seen it all. And they go for the record.
They were looking for that all night. That should be a record.
October 17th, pretty special night through the years on Monday Night Football.
Some pretty special things happened.
Very. Pretty special thing happened in baseball back in 1989 of a different sort. The anniversary of the earthquake, Loma Prieta, affecting the World Series in San Francisco.
Was that this date?
October 17th, 19. That was 16 years ago. Wow. 18 and 88, equaling 86 as the Colts get ready to run out much of the clock here with 2 minutes to play. Manning done for the night. And the Colts ready to resume practice this week. Short work week and into Houston on Sunday. And we got Rhodes. And he's not done yet. And Rhodes has the presence of mind to go down before he goes out of bounds. Picks up the first down to keep the clock rolling.
Yeah, we were looking at that schedule there of the Indianapolis Colts, and talking to Tony Dungy last night, he was saying that, you know, everyone thinks that we want to have playoff games here at home. He said it's not that. He said the first thing you want to do is win your division, and then he said you want to buy in the playoffs. He said that is something that is really big and maybe the most important thing, not having to play the first week in the playoffs.
Tremendous difference between being the number 2 seed and the 3 seed. The 3 seed gets a home game, but the 3 seed doesn't get a week off. After trailing by 17 at the end of the first, you'd have Oakland against Philadelphia in 95. when Oakland scored 48 unanswered points to win the game. You had a situation tonight, Indy against St. Louis tonight, 17-0 early, and then the roof caved in. As I said, it's a matter of Indianapolis being a good football team, Manning, James, Bolger getting hurt, the whole thing going on with the Rams right now with the coaching situation, and the attrition helps to do them in, and now they'll worry about Bolger and whether he can play next week. But the Rams go to 2-4, the Colts go to 6-0. 5-2. And we'll be back with the AutoTrader.com post-game show right after this.